a Bulldog radio podcast.
The Ferris State Bulldogs have upset the nation's #2 ranked team. Wide open! Taylor is going to take this one to the house! Touchdown Bulldogs!
It's the MVSP Season 4, Episode 20. I'm Joe Nagy, joined by Brandon Worth across from me. Great day out today. It's a little bit snowy, a little bit cold. The parking lots are crazy right now, but we're here. We're ready to give you guys a great show.
Great show indeed. It's been a wild start to the second half
What
of
a
November.
day.
I will
What
tell
a
you what,
day.
borderline blizzard conditions out on the run today. I guess winter's upon us, which means snowboards and skis getting out, Joe. I just want to go home here soon and get that stuff ready. Rumors have it just up north, like the 25th over Thanksgiving weekend, places are opening up.
Hey, dude, snow's coming down. Places are getting ready. I'm excited for it. I love skiing. It's a good time. You're a snowboarder. You're a degenerate snowboarder.
Okay,
Brandon.
calm down.
I'm an
Joe.
elitist skier. I'm just better.
My sport is consensus cooler than yours.
Yeah, that's true. You do
Just
cooler
kidding.
stuff on a snowboard.
No, this is how I describe it. Skiing is easier to learn,
It's harder to get really good at.
but it's hard to really get good at. Snowboarding's hard to learn, but it's easier to get good at.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the counter of both evils, you know? But it's
Mhm.
the counter of good positives, too.
That's
So,
true.
also, shout out to the deer hunters out there. We hope you had a good
Big
opening
time.
day as well.
Big
I know
time.
I went out myself. No luck for me so far, but
Tough.
we'll hammer it out over Thanksgiving break. We're starting to get the patterns put together, so we'll get some layouts as far as putting up setups and stuff like that moving
All that
forward the rest
stuff
of the
goes
month. So
Big time.
yeah, it's always hit or miss sometimes it seems like, especially ever since, like the whole what was that what the disease that was going around and
I know
really
what you're talking about. I forget
yeah,
what it's
I don't
called,
remember what it
though.
was called, but ever since like the disease kind of went through and wiped out a portion of the deer population, it's been kind of hit or miss as of lately. But anyway, happy start of the second half of November. We hope you stay with us the rest of the way. And we got a great show indeed, as we've stalled already,
Yeah.
including a banger of an interview, Joe. Our buddy Jamal's coming on the show.
Yeah, Jamal. We love Jamal. Working with him for a while now through athletics. He's a guy that's really been really cool to work with and kind of have a budding friendship with him. It's been really cool to see. But Brandon, without further ado,
Let's
we'll
swing it to the interview.
Now joining us in studio, Jamal Bohannon, a member of us on the athletics communications staff for Ferris State University. Jamal, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm honestly just super excited to be here. I've never done something like this, so I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're excited.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here, and especially here at Ferris State. We can start off basic. What brought you to Ferris State, and what made you a Bulldog in the first place?
Well, so after graduating high school, I wasn't really quite sure in terms of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to study. So I went to Schoolcraft to get my general education classes done. Then after that, I had a conversation with my mom, and I asked her what major she chose, and she told me about public relations, and she also explained to me how Ferris State had public relations here, and it was a business degree, and it's one of the very few colleges in the country that offer it as a business degree. So kind of looked into that, and then I was like, you know what? And I also had a friend here. I had Chase, who used to be on the football team, but I visited him a lot my freshman and sophomore year in college, and I liked it up here. So I made the transition to transfer here fall of 2020, so COVID. So it was a tough transition to make, but I was happy to kind of move away from home and, live on my own.
Sure, very cool.
For sure, and especially working for athletics, what was that like to kind of first starting? Did you just kind of like apply to, like, who did you talk to for that?
I talked to Dr. Bishop, and he actually reached out to me during the summer, I want to say, and I walked on the football team my fall of 2020. So that summer of 2020, I spent a lot of time practicing kicking footballs. So because I played soccer my entire life.
Yeah.
So the transition from soccer to football, although it's, kicking, but it's a lot different than kicking a football versus like a soccer ball. So I worked on the summer, walked on the football team, and I was on the football team from 2020 to 2021. And then I didn't start working with athletics until fall of 2021. because I got cut from the football team.
Oh, yeah, it's a
tough.
Yeah, but everybody loves the walk-on. Everyone loves Rudy, and everybody loves you, sure, Jamal. But being able to make that transition from not only just going from a student, then going from a student athlete, and now being a part of athletics, and it's just been really cool to see that transition for you. What's been the biggest things that you've had to do to be able to make those changes as you've progressed professionally?
I think that I had to pivot a lot because first I was playing soccer, then I transitioned to football. So I was, changing the way I went about things. Then I was on the team. Then I got cut. So then it was like, okay, now what do I do next? So then that's when I contacted Wes, who's no longer here anymore. And
shout out to Wes.
Yeah, shout out to Wes.
Wes is a great guy.
He got me into operations. So that fall of 2021, and really just that whole last year, I was doing mainly like operations, setting up football, volleyball, soccer. And then now I reached out to Harrison, and I was really interested in doing post-game interviews, but at the time, Travis, shout out to Travis. Travis, he was doing the post-game interviews at the time, and he was graduating. So I knew that come this fall that there was an opportunity available. So then that's when I reached out to Harrison, and then he told me about how he'd love to have me, and that's kind of how that went.
For sure. And, I mean, your bubbly personality all the time in the press boxes for hockey and football press box as well, especially working basketball down on the court too, getting the music going. What's been the kind of your favorite sport to work so far?
I think my favorite sport to work, I would say football, just because our team is really good.
Yeah.
And there's always the excitement around just the game. I think our student section was very well. And they came out a lot early on the season. They brought a lot of energy that I haven't seen in a couple of years. We had COVID. So it's just the overall excitement around our football team. I think I enjoy it, and being able to be in the press box because, 2020, 2021, I was out in the cold when it snowed and everything.
For sure. We've all been there, man. Times in the cold, especially where we're at right now in late November, is just an absolute grind.
Man.
Just to be out there in winter coats. But for sure, being able to work with you, especially in football, has been a pleasure. I mean, you've been a great game producer for us. We're producing some really good games. Really coming into that role, after working with Austin last year, being able to have you in that seat, what's the biggest things that you've learned along the way as far as game producing, not only for football, but then obviously going into the other sports like hockey and basketball?
I think that I learned that you have to always be thinking what's next, because I'm coordinating with our band. I'm coordinating with Jake doing our fan engagement, as well as Stephanie. And, there's a lot of moving parts. So, in terms of, I know that our Fritz, he has to do his PA announces. And so it's kind of a lot of different things. So it's very important to kind of stay on top of things and figure out what's going to be next, because there's always something next, unless it's, the game is over.
Absolutely, yeah. There's always more things to do on the script than you could ever imagine going on in a football game, for sure.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle almost, trying to fit all those pieces together. But especially for post-game interviews and stuff like that, there's been times where you've killed it, and sometimes where you maybe said the wrong things every once in a while. Or there's some of those things where you might have been I wish I could kind of improve on some spaces. And what's been I would say what's kind of been your favorite time to be able to be an interviewer and stuff like that?
I enjoy post-game because I guess I'm kind of orchestrating it, and it's enjoyable to get the opportunity to talk to the players and coaches right after the game, and kind of it makes you feel like a professional post-game conference, like you see in the NBA, NFL. So that experience has been phenomenal. I think that the very first couple of games, I was very nervous and had a little, what do you call it?
An oopsie?
Yeah, had a oopsie. And you know how when you talk and your voice kind of, what do you call it?
Shakes a little bit.
Yeah.
Exactly. I get that all the time.
Yeah, so the first couple of games, that's kind of how it went. But in terms of now, I think that I feel a lot more comfortable asking questions, and I'm not really as nervous because I've had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just being able to do it over and over, repetition, being able to do it over and over, certainly is the recipe for success. But especially for you, Jamal, I mean, he's gone so soon. We're going to be missing you after this upcoming fall semester. We wish you the best of luck. But what's the ideal next dream goal for you? What are you going to be doing at Ferris State here?
So yeah, I actually have my last interview with the Pistons tomorrow. And I'll be the position is an account executive, so I'll be selling tickets, and I'll be giving tours around Little Caesars Arena. So basically, I'll be part of the sales team. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited about that, and I guess what I'm aspiring to be, I'm aspiring to really post-game interviews. I think that's what I really enjoy. And also, I am interested in doing play-by-play commentating.
Mm-hmm.
So I just haven't really had that experience yet. So I'm not really sure in terms of what I would like more between commentating and post-game interviews. But I know I want to be on that side. But I am excited to have this sales experience because in my second interview, the lady told me about how people have transitioned to other parts and other departments if they didn't really like sales. So I'm just excited just to get my foot in the door, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially at the Pistons. Man, that's a
sick.
Key opportunity, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's such a cool opportunity for you. I'm so happy for you as well because you really deserve it. I mean, you're such a great guy to be around. But, Jamal, thank you so much for coming on. Last question for you. We ask everybody, what's been your favorite part about being a Ferris State Bulldog?
Honestly, I think that it's the mascot, the Bulldog. I think that through my experience here at Ferris State, walking on the football team, getting cut, now working in athletics, I had to make a lot of pivots, a lot of transitions in terms of what I was trying to achieve. So I think that the Bulldog embodies, you got to grind it out. You got to keep on working.
For sure.
You got to dedicate, focused, and be consistent. And I think that, like, the Bulldog, it just kind of has inspired me to keep on grinding and to keep on working. So I guess my favorite part is just our mascot, because I think that it symbolizes a lot of grit and hard work.
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. But Jamal, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you if you're in town and we're watching Ferris State hockey, Ferris State football. You'll see Jamal up there in the press box getting after it. So make sure you say hello to him. But Jamal, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you very much. Go Dogs.
Once again, big thanks to Jamal for coming on the show. Really appreciate him coming on and having a great interview with him. We're going to hop into the Ferris State Sports Report, or more like preview, I guess it is, with the weekend. But there's a little bit of both things. I think we'll start off with a report first. Women's basketball was in action yesterday against Northwood in a early season matchup against a former GLIAC team. Pretty good game. Big win. Almost dropped a 100-burger on them, but slowed down a little bit near the second half, but it was a good game.
Yeah, we were on pace, I believe, to be close to that mark. I believe we entered at 72 going into the fourth quarter, so we could have used another big effort, which we already had 28 points in a quarter in the second quarter. But yeah, let it fly. That was the name of the game. 15 three-pointers from the squad last night. 15 of 33. That's 45%, folks, and that ain't shabby at all. 47.5 from the floor. Yeah, overall dominance from the ladies. Mallory McCartney, Joe, we talked about her on Tuesday on Wednesday's episode. Didn't have the biggest outcome scoring-wise on their previous game, but she showed up big in this game. She absolutely was on fire.
Absolutely. 4 for 7 for 3, 7-11 from field goals in total, 18 points, and quick little 6 assists, 6 rebounds. Just all-around great game from her. That's what we really see. I mean, I'm still excited to see what she does, especially with kind of getting assists and stuff like that, if that's going to change up at all. But also, I mean, look at Mia Riley, 15 points coming off the bench, 3 for 6 from 3, 5 for 9. 20 minutes played. I mean, that's just really good efficiency from the bench as well, which is something that's going to be really important coming into regular season play coming up pretty soon. But this game was just really solid all around. Good time to really just come back home, have a good game, and get ready for this upcoming weekend. A little bit of a road trip down to Illinois.
Yeah, a little bit going to face Springfield. And overall, the depth showed a lot in this game. Obviously, they were able to get some quality minutes there with the scoreline. But saw a lot of really positive things, I think, overall from this game. I thought that Deshauna Day was really good in the starting lineup. I thought she played very substantially efficient minutes, 12 points for her, as well as Chloe Idoni had 7 rebounds, maybe not the highest scoring output that we saw from her earlier in the season when she dropped 30. She only had 6 in this game, but Mia Riley was also really good off the bench. I was really promised by her performance overall. Especially in her first 4 collegiate games right now. She's played very good, and I think that's really a promising thing for Coach Westendorp and his crew because they got a really good class coming in, and I think that really kind of shows how deep they can be this season because last year they were pretty deep. Obviously, some injuries kind of prohibited that depth going because you had to kind of slide everybody forward, but now this is a really good crew, and I think they're going to be set up for really good things this season, coming in at number 2 in the GLIAC preseason rankings, of course, behind the Lakers, but we know what happens sometimes when you underestimate us against those people from Allendale. So we like our chances and obviously going to have a big one against Grand Valley coming up here in the beginning of December.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. And kind of just looking at where the box score is at, one thing is just kind of making sure the rebounds go down. We did have a lot, 37 on the defensive side, but when you look at the offensive rebounds from Northwood, they had 13. So it's a little bit higher number. I think that's just the one thing you just got to watch out for. But I think if you're really just taking away those second chance shots is a big thing. And we did a lot. I mean, 44 rebounds in total, which was pretty good to see. But yeah, like you said, Brandon, depth was the big thing for this game. Good to see that we have that coming off the bench. We don't really have to worry about taking our starters out, which is going to be huge for the program in the long run, especially as the later season goes on. Got to get some rest kind of with people. You don't want to have any injuries or anything like that. Kind of the longevity of the team is going to be in a really good shape, especially with how good our bench has been playing in these first 3 games.
Yeah, and I also noticed Caden Blanchard did not play in this game, so might have an injury, but when she comes back, that makes this team even more deadly. So because we know what she can do in all phases, offensively and defensively, a very talented player for this team, and certainly brings a lot of juice for this offense going forward the rest of the year. So going to be fun. Next game, Springfield, this Saturday at 2 o'clock. You can follow along. Next home game will be Saturday after Thanksgiving. That's the 26th, 7 o'clock game against Grace Christian. They're coming back to town. We played against them last year. And then the next week, December 1st, buckle up, Anchor Bone at Wink, 5:30. Let's get after it. What a game that's going to be in here at Wink Arena. In a brand new Wink Arena. New scoreboards, new video boards, hopefully done by then. Woo,
that would be sick.
doggy.
That's going to be pretty cool. Not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for that. So,
like I said, not a huge fan of the new scoreboards, but, we'll save that conversation for another day.
Sure, we'll debate that another day. But speaking of the Hardwood, boys basketball will also be in action this weekend. A familiar foe that some people may have forgot about coming up in the SCB Champions Classic.
College Basketball Champions Classic.
Yeah, and over in South Dakota, taking on Northern State. For those that remember,
bad blood in that water.
Northern State was the team that we took down by 2 in the Natty game back in 2018. So that's going to be fun facing off against Wolves once again. And then right after on Saturday, we got the other Bulldogs, the Minnesota Duluth Dogs. That was one of the greatest games I had witnessed in college basketball last year.
109 to 107. Ended up losing that one, which was unfortunate.
Yeah, what a fantastic game that was. That should be a fun matchup. Overall, coming off of 2 straight losses to start the season against Trevecca and Southwest Baptist. But we mentioned on Wednesday's show exactly what they need to change. If you can want to listen back to that, you can find that in the feed below. But really, this team, we've shown that we have the ability to make plays. We just got to show the consistency as well as beat teams on the boards. And I think we're in great shape because we have a great fast break offense already in set. And I think we really have a great, I mean, what I saw from the Michigan game is that we can take on a lot of these physical teams. And that's really a promising thing when it comes to this team, especially being younger, losing a lot of guys like Dorian and Walt and a lot of those guys and Logan Ryan. So you definitely have a younger crew, but you don't lose a whole lot as far as a lot of these guys have already played substantial minutes. I'll get a couple of transfers and already have the experience. But so far this year, just got to be able to stay consistent, keep control of the basketball, and run your sets, and you're going to be in great shape. It really sounds like a stupid analysis, limiting at that point, but this team is that good. Like, they can be very good, and really, I think they would agree that they've just kind of shot themselves in the foot the first 2 games against 2 good teams they know they can beat. So, definitely looking forward to seeing how they bounce back. They will be back on the Thanksgiving Classic Tuesday and Wednesday. So before you head back home, you can go watch some Bulldog boys basketball. Tuesday at 5 o'clock, Great Lakes Christian. And then Wednesday, they'll be taking on Ashland. 5 o'clock Tuesday, 7 o'clock on Wednesday against the Eagles. And then once again, they'll be playing Grand Valley 7:30 on Thursday, December 1st. So that's going to be fun. And then they'll also have Davenport right afterwards. 2 really good, tough teams.
Reigning GLIAC champs, Davenport is.
They are, yes. They ran the table last year as the 8th seed, and they're no joke.
Crazy stuff. Yeah, they got some crazy athletes on that team. But I'm very excited for this season for boys basketball, especially with who we're playing in this tournament coming up. It's going to be a good test, especially before our pretty tough schedule to start the season. I mean, we got Grand Valley, Davenport, Northern, then Michigan Tech, 4 teams that were, top of the table for the GLIAC last year coming into the tournament. I mean, Michigan Tech had some pretty solid teams. I forget they have just one guy who basically took over. Same with Northern Michigan. They have, Noah something?
Northern
has this.
Jorgland.
Yeah.
Max Jorgland.
Max, that's what it is. Max
Yeah.
Jorgland, who dropped like
preseason
a
player of
40
the year,
bomb.
I believe. Yeah.
40 bomb on us out of nowhere. Like, and 30 of it came in the second half, which is ridiculous.
He went bonkers. We don't have like, that's the thing that really separates us is I don't know if we found the takeover guy just yet. But that might not be a bad thing.
Yeah, you'll be able to spread it out, which is good.
We have the ability to score in a multitude of different ways. Olenka brings you size inside. He also has a really nice mid-range game. Vayas has really improved on his post game overall. He was cooking Dickinson a little bit down there in Chrysler, so that was promising to see. Salman Aregbu has a really good ability to drive the basketball as well as be able to knock down the outside shot. Amari Lee the same way. Ethan Erickson, Ben Davidson, when they're out and they're snipers, you don't want to leave them any space and they'll knock it down in your face. And then you definitely have a lot of great other guys that you can bring in that bring a lot of athleticism into the starting lineup or even off the bench, even with guys like Dang Ring, as well as I think Amari Lee kind of fits in that category as well. And then, of course, you have Jimmy Scholler, the floor general, that can bring it home. And then, of course, who is the better playmaking ability than throwing down a nasty dunk like Michael Bingham. So you have all of those tools, as well as a lot of the freshmen have been getting a lot of minutes. You can throw Reese Hazelton in there. He brings a lot of great things as far as being a really solid contributor off the bench. So you have a lot of good depth on this team, and I think you're going to see a lot of that. But you got to get out to see it, so make sure you check them out at Wink. Coming up, going to be some big games on deck.
Absolutely. We're going to move on over to football now. Playoffs. Davenport is coming to town on Saturday. First round. A little bit new water for us. Always had the bye the past couple of years for the first round. Going to be up and at 'em, especially coming off the regular season ending. Big win against Wayne State 40-14. We talked about that last episode. But this game, we played Davenport just 2 weeks ago. 28-7 win. You just got to go into this like we've never played them before and just go at it.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to take what we learned from that game, but don't play the same way of that game.
Yeah.
And the reason why is, Coach McEwen's going to be a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to change things up.
Davenport is practicing indoors this whole week.
You think so?
They have been. They
you've seen it?
Yeah,
I've not actually seen that. Interesting.
I think so. I heard. Yeah.
Well, you know what happens when some teams
practice
practice indoors.
Yeah.
So.
Why are you gonna practice indoors when it's supposed to be below freezing and it's supposed to be snowing? It's gonna be just like it was last year in the playoffs.
You gotta practice in the elements.
You gotta.
It's gonna be a snowstorm.
That's why. Our guys have been practicing out there with just maybe sweatshirts on. Yesterday I was walking past the football field while they were practicing. I saw maybe 2 guys with sweatshirts on. Everybody else had long sleeves or we're just going against the elements. I
saw them at practice today, and or some of them coming back to the facility when I was leaving, and they were still in their pads and they're still wearing shorts, and I was just like, whew. That's a different breed right there.
Gotta get the tiger balm on a little bit, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's something else, man.
But this game's gonna be fun. No GLIAC refs. It's a little bit different, especially with playoffs, which is gonna be good. That means I know that the defense is gonna go off for this game. A lot less holding is gonna happen, or a lot less holding that's not gonna get called. It's gonna. If I said that right, did I say that right?
Since it's not the GLIAC refs, more holdings will be called in this game.
Exactly.
That's what you're trying to say. Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. And I think that's what's going to be a big game changer is that when our defense is getting going and they can only hold, that's going to be detrimental to their offensive scheme and stuff like that. So it's going to be big time. I'm excited for this one. We're both working it. It's going to be a good time. People are going to be rocking. First round of playoffs. Playoffs is crazy. I love football.
I won't be there.
Time. Oh, you won't be there?
I won't be there.
You won't be able to be back?
No, I don't think so. And I'll tell you why in here in just a minute. But rushing attack was absolutely crucial in the first Davenport game, as well as I thought our front played very well as far as defensively. They're going to try to neutralize things, and they're going to probably bring extra tonnage on the line of scrimmage in the trenches. So how are you going to adapt that? I think that plays better into our favor, because I think we got some of the best playmakers in the conference, if not the country, to get in space. So I think that can work out for us as an advantage. We saw what our secondary can do and make explosive plays. I mean, just in that Davenport game, Justin Pyatt, 43-yard pick six. So, I mean, you have that ability to score defensively. I thought up front we were absolutely nasty against Wayne State. I would expect nothing less against Davenport. I'm sure they're going to try to make changes, but the depth up front on this D-line is not like other teams. You have 2 units out there that can wreak havoc, regardless of what subs need to be made. So they're going to be excited. I'm going to be excited following along with this game. I'm sure I'll probably be texting Joe frantically on the bus ride home. to see how we're doing as far as watching the game, which will be on Flow Sports, as according to the broadcast announcement. So you can watch that on Flow Sports as well as tune into Top Taggart. Make sure you grab your extra heavy winter jacket because it's going to be a snow fest, I would say. Maybe not a snowball, but maybe a snow fest. It's not quite there yet, but definitely not an ice bowl, which is definitely good. We don't need any of those whatsoever because that's just not as fun football.
Yeah, that's true. Not as a good time, but I still love snow and football. Brings you back to the old snow. What was it? The Bills and was it Eagles back in?
The Lions and the Eagles played in a pretty nasty snow game, I remember. But yes, the one that you're talking about was the Bills and the Colts.
Yeah, that's who
back
it was.
in Buffalo.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah, that was a pretty nuts game. And I actually heard, so a little off topic here before we get into women's soccer, the Buffalo forecast this weekend calling for 3 to 6 feet of snow. Yes, 3 to 6 feet. That is FEET, not inches. 3 to 6 feet of snow in Buffalo. It's expected to hit Orchard Park.
How is Devin Singletary going to run when the snow is taller than him?
I don't know, man. I heard rumors today that they were talking about even moving the game to Ford Field.
Really?
Yeah, I have heard that was discussed. They actually did that a couple years ago in a game for Buffalo. I don't remember who they were playing, but I know my buddy said he actually went to it because he lives in Detroit. And he said that, you could go in to watch the game and, the tickets were, super discounted or whatever since it wasn't a Lions game and they were away. So I think they actually had rumors that they were talking about this game being moved to Ford Field if the weather was inclement enough. But very interesting to say the least. But I think the snow plays to our strengths as overall football team, and I think that we can show that this weekend against Davenport. So anyway, some women's soccer time. It's a big one coming up on deck tomorrow, or it should be today, Tomorrow is recording this on Thursday, but Friday at 1 p.m., Bemidji, that's where we are. Grand Valley, that's who we're playing. It's going to be a big one. 1 o'clock start time. We've played this team 2 times already this year. GLIAC semifinals.
It was 4 times.
4 times? Are you sure?
We played them on
You're right.
September
we have
9,
played them 4 times.
October 16, November 4, and this will be the 4th.
That's right. 4 times. This is the 4th time around, sitting at 0-1-2. Is that? No. 0-2-1.
0-2-1.
0-2-1.
No, 0-2. 2 ties, 1 loss.
Yes, whatever the record goes in that order or whatever. But
0-1-2.
Yeah, but I mean, the first 2 games I thought we played really well. I thought we moved the ball around very, very crisp and efficiently, especially on that home game that I was able to call. I thought we really moved the ball around really well. That was one of my takeaways I wrote in my notes. But I think in the semifinal game, I mean, obviously, I believe we didn't have Zamborini in that game. I believe she was on the limp. She did play in that game, wasn't she? That would have been the next game that she would have gotten hurt then.
Yeah.
But I think overall, our team, just kind of, being at Allendale obviously is a hard thing, but right out of the gate when they scored in the first 2 minutes, that's really hard to come back from. And then Taylor Reed just went absolutely crazy on us. So being able to neutralize her, being able to really move the ball around the perimeter and get the opportunities on net, because we can show that we can get a lot of shots up. We outshot them in the game that they ended up beating us 17-12. We had more looks. Quality. It's going to be the most important thing. We've scored off of set pieces the last couple games. I expect we keep that rolling, try to get us those opportunities, maybe play a little more physical. We had 12 fouls, I think, the last time these 2 teams played, so we can see something like that. And just overall defensively, beyond lockdown, this team has really proven some big things already, especially our center backs in their first seasons of collegiate soccer have played phenomenal. So this will be a big test for them. The midfield will probably be where this game is won. Possession is going to be crucial. And really, we're just going to have to play our game as much as we can. We can't let Allendale take control the tempo, and get their opportunities, because they can get the game out of hand as a good team. But I like our chances coming up, because right now we're playing some of our best soccer at the best time of the year.
Mm-hmm. And a big thing, too, is transitioning from defense to offense is where we really, catch teams off guard. And it's going to be tough since we played this team already 3 times. So it's basically just who's the better team at this point, because they know us, we know them. But the big thing is, like you said, kind of controlling it in the midfield and really working with those transitions as soon as we get the ball off defense to really send it and get it going with Izzy and Brindley and stuff like that, to be able to really get an offensive attack going early and just kind of keep our foot on the gas is going to be the big thing. Because if we can't do that, Grand Valley is going to make us pay, and it's going to be a tough time, especially if we get down early.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on over cross country. That is where I will be this weekend. But I will.
Where
be
you at,
following
Brandon?
along.
Where you at?
I will be at Kenosha. That's our good old friends in
Wisco.
Parkside. So over in Wisco, yes, it's probably gonna be 20 degrees and windy
Bring
and
me some
snowy and
cheese.
all the above. For a 10K on the men's side, it's certainly gonna be fun. We're in some of our some best workouts as of late. We've really been able to tune up very well. So I'm really excited to see what this course is going to bring us. This is the first time I've actually been able to run this course. It's notably the Foot Locker course in years past in high school. I've never actually had the opportunity to run this course, so I'm super excited. The 10K is scary, but you got to learn to get through it. So you just got to break past the 8K barrier and move on, finish the last mile better than your first. But no, it's going to be good. We really have been looking forward to this moment because I know as a men's side and the women's side too, we feel like we've been a little bit under the radar, especially with how the rankings have turned out over the year. We know we've been on the brink. I know the women's were able to break the top 10 a couple of times. Men, we were close, but we couldn't quite find the mark. But this is a time to shine. Hopefully, you were shooting for a top 10 performance in the region. If not, get as close as we can. Run some of our best races. And we're bringing a lot of the hot racers right now on both sides. So the ones that have been doing well recently are going to make the trip. We're going to be leaving. Actually, we'll be on our way over to Wisco when you're listening to this. We leave them by 8 a.m., which will be likely when this episode is published. Which, by the way, if you guys want to prefer time for publish, let us know. But you got to follow us first at the MVSP on Twitter and Instagram to do that. But it's going to be snowy. It's going to be cold. It's supposed to be, I believe, 27 degrees when the gun goes off, 20-mile-per-hour winds, I believe, in this. So
That's going to be a blast.
yeah, it's going to be an absolute
That's gonna be
blast.
fun.
But I think that plays plays an advantage to our team because we might not be the fastest on the flat surfaces, but
grit.
we are the grittiest team. I would doubt
Hit the
that
gritty.
we would be considered the fastest team in the GLIAC, but I would absolutely make an argument we're one of the grittiest teams in the GLIAC, and this is a weekend to prove it. So Saturday will be a really fun race. Going to be some hills, going to be a lot of rolling hills, but with the snow, with the hills, it's going to come down to grit, and I think our mental strengths can play out in the end. So we're hoping for the best, to have a really good performance to cap off the cross-country season. If not, hey, Cinderella, maybe make it to Chambers Bay. That's a long ways away, but it is possible. But we got to really show up to be our best races put forward. We've done a lot of the prep, so it's game time. So we're going to be looking forward to that for sure.
Go.
Let's go, baby. Anyway, speaking of the cold, this time more controlled cold, hockey will be in action this weekend. Pack the pound, please. Please, 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 please. Big games. The Bowling Green sitting at the top of the tables right now,
wins.
and
6
we can
points on
beat
the
them.
line.
We can beat this team. We can.
Won last year.
We beat them last year. We can beat them, and we can beat them twice this year. I firmly believe it. Friday at 7, Saturday at 7. Make sure you get your tickets. Saturday also. Ticket package. You go to football, you can get into hockey with a discount. So take advantage of that because 2 huge games on deck for this team. So saw a lot of great offense against Mercyhurst. We hope that rolls over. Defensively, I thought we showed a lot of good things against Bemidji, who's a very good offensive team. So being able to continue put those processes together, and play 60 minutes of our best hockey, I think can really get us some W's over this weekend. And really a chance to spoil the tables right now. The Falcons are sitting pretty right now at the number 1 spot. And I don't think the Mavericks, I don't think the Wildcats, and I know we sure don't like them being up there. So now it's time to change it. What are you going to do about it?
Faux show. Cannot wait for this one. It's going to be a good time. Bowling Green is a team that kind of took the CCHA by storm this year because last year they kind of finished middle of the pack. They were above us, but they were still behind, Michigan Tech and Northern and stuff like that. Teams that were, honestly, teams that really could have made some noise. But Minnesota State and Bemidji were just really good last year. But Bowling Green, back to Bowling Green. It's going to be a tough one. Like you said, Brandon, I think really making sure that we keep it clean and be able to contain them. I think we can because we've seen that so far this year. Our defense has really been stepping up really well, and I think when our defense is able to do that, it gives Logan and Noah and those 2 guys to really a chance to show out and show up. Especially, we saw that against Mercyhurst. Noah faced 24 shots, didn't let a single one go in. Logan went in, he was very good. Joey went in, he was good as well. But our goaltenders are ones that are Probably one of the best 1-2 punch, I'd say. And when you get our team hot as a whole, our goaltenders can't really be stopped. So it's going to be a big thing. Make sure that we stay out of the penalty box is also a big one, but that's not been a problem so far. Mercyhurst was a little bit different, kind of struggled with that, but at Bemidji and against St. Thomas, we played pretty well with keeping it clean and just having those man advantages. We've been able to do really well for. I mean, Connor McGrath. Yeah, Connor was doing really good, especially when he gets the puck on those 5-4 advantages, and you'll see some noise being made again with our penalty kill as well. I feel like it's going to really step up. But once again, it's just staying out of the penalty box, I think, is what's going to win us this game, staying disciplined, and, hopefully Eau gets all packed up and getting ready for packing the pound because home crowd really makes a difference. When we saw a little bit at Mercyhurst, it was a 5-1 win. That was big time. But we'll see what goes on this Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, you could definitely see that the fans enjoyed that victory. I think that was a huge win for the program, as you like to mention, Joe.
Huge for the program.
I say we trademark that phrase for you, Joe. I think it just has to be done.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would just be absolutely glorious to have that ability to give you a trademark with that phrase on it. But I did some quick math here while you were proving your point. We have been better in games overall that we have been able to see more shots on net as far as offensively and defensively allow less shots on net, which, it makes sense in the book, right? It makes common sense. Yeah.
No way.
But think about it last year. We almost did better in games where we didn't shoot that much, which is very interesting. So, because, we won a game, I believe, earlier this year, I believe with only 22 shots we actually won against St. Thomas in that opener.
The game last year that we beat Minnesota State, we only had like 12 shots on goal and we scored 4 of them.
Right.
And Minnesota State had like close to 40 and we only let in 1.
Yeah, which I just calculated. 25.6 shots we've had in losses, 26 we've had in wins, which is actually like not as comparable as you kind of think it is, even though they're close in numbers. But it's definitely, you can see on the other side, the shots that we've seen have been much more varying overall. But being able to get less shots on the goaltender will be crucial because not necessarily saying like our goaltending is definitely a strength. I'm not saying that that's a weakness. I'm not saying that at all. But defensively, being able to be in position to force a lot of teams not to get good looks is going to be crucial because that's going to create our counterattack and that's going to bring us in our best element, using speed in space to set up some good opportunities. We saw a lot of good geometry against Mercyhurst, so we're hoping that we can get a lot of those passes through. Maybe get a couple power play chances. This is definitely a weekend we can improve in those. We've been good on the kill so far this year. We hope to keep that going here and take it on 2 against Falcons. Boy, that'd be big for this team.
That would be pretty cool to see.
Would be pretty cool. Yeah. Finishing out the Ferris State Sports Report, yes, we didn't forget about it, and there's a reason why. Volleyball just finished up as we're recording, 3:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Victory over the Ashland Eagles, 3-1. The Dawgs move on to face the winner. I believe is the Hillsdale and what was it? Hillsdale and oh my gosh, I am blanking so hard right now. Lewis, search. I believe Hillsdale and Lewis are the 2 teams that will be playing on the bracket next to us. So we'll be waiting the matchup of that game. That I believe is going on later tonight to see who we play. I like both of our chances in either of those games. I guess we've played the Chargers this year. We didn't play some of our best, which we definitely do for one against the Chargers here. But definitely going to be a fun matchup. We just looked at I looked over the statistics a little bit. Livia Henneman-Delape was on fire, led with 19 kills for the Dogs. Fairfield and Nowicki both had 12. Hit percentage definitely improved. Ashland kind of started out hot and then faded from there. 237 our hit percentage was. We really limited the errors. That kind of slowed us down early on in this early game. But definitely Ashland gave us some tough chances defensively. Had us in blocks. But I think the biggest thing was we kept the errors down after those first 2 sets, and we really locked up and got some efficient attacks. And when you have 12 more kills than your opponent, you know you're doing something right.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I'm really looking forward to seeing. Excuse me, got a little bit of frog in my throat. My bad. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this team is going to be able to do. I was trying to find the bracket for the longest time while you were talking, Brandon. But especially against Ashland, they're a team that has been historically good this year. Obviously, making it to the playoffs is a big thing, and be able to start off hot. What were we? Were we up 1-0 or were we down 1-0 at the start, or were we?
We were up 1-0, then they tied at 1-1, and then we got 2 straight.
Grit. That's what we like to see.
Gritty.
Every time we say it, I know it's not meant to be, but I just think of hitting the gritty every time.
Hit the gritty.
Anyways, to be able to see that we're still being able to really, fight through matches and stuff like that when we do give up a set or we give up 2 sets or something like that, to be able to push through and stay locked in for all those times where we might be playing a little bit bad or something like that. Our receiving was a little bit off in those first 2 sets, but I think we really picked it up, and I'm excited to see who we have to play and especially how this whole bracket and playoff whole thing goes down. Yeah, it's going to be fun for sure. Hillsdale is a team I'm sure we'd love to get revenge on. They're a good team. They've gotten 27 wins this year. Lewis has been, I think only had 22 wins this year, but boy, they clutched up in a lot of those big games, so they're definitely tournament ready. They're not happy about how last year's tournament ended, losing in the first round to UMSL, which they could be potentially moving on to the semifinals, depending on if they play Rockhurst well or not, because they're certainly a better team before the tournament. Obviously, they didn't play very well in the tournament. That's how Rockhurst was able to flip them. But definitely going to be a fun matchup there, as well as Quincy taking on Northern Michigan. We'll find out that and preview that all next week as the tournament progresses, and we'll see how our Dogs do. And I think if we have good offense, efficient attacks, keep the errors down, and keep the communication up, that we can be really successful. And being able to turn that defense into offense, we are very good at being able to be clean on reception. Sometimes we've been a little bit more sloppy, and that's how allowed teams get in the game. We're crisp there, good exchanges, good setups. We're one of the most dominant teams in the Midwest, if not the dominant team in the Midwest. So I think that can really prove us some really good things for this tournament. So there you go. Those are all the Ferris State Sports Report. Make sure you check out all that on FerrisStateBulldogs.com to follow along, as well as tune in next week. We'll recap it all on our episode coming up before Thanksgiving. But anyway, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, college basketball is back, and we'll make our NFL picks. Don't go anywhere.
The MVSP is proud to partner with the people of Eagle Village Incorporated. With over 50 years of experience helping and changing the lives of youth, there are opportunities for you to be the next to make a direct impact, including plenty of positions available, including summer staff, internships, and more. For more information, visit eaglevillage.org. Eagle Village, where potential soars.
College basketball has returned, and some great games have been going on so far. It's a young season, but have we been treated to some amazing games, Brandon? We're going to start Kentucky versus Michigan State at whatever the tournament was. I forget what it's called. But, dude, crazy. Michigan State with the upset. Michigan State was unranked going into this game, and Kentucky was up at 4. Double overtime win for the Spartans, 86-77. I knew that it was going to be pretty close because Michigan State always, keeps it close with good ranked opponents, but I was not thinking it was going to be this outcome. Some great performances from guys on Kentucky. Cason Wallace played pretty well, as well as Oscar. I don't know how to say your last name. He had 22. Wallace had 14. Wheeler had 16. But Michigan State was just lights out. 2 guys over 20 points, and 2 others, Maddie Sissoko and Tyson Walker, close on their heels with 16 and 14 respectively. Brandon, what were you thinking about this game as it was going on?
Yeah, this was a wild game. I thought Michigan State definitely had a really good outing. And, right now, they've really proven themselves as a ranked team. I know they were, I believe, coming into this game at 26 or 27 in received votes, and they're certainly going to be ranked after taking out Kentucky in a wild game. But the double overtime can tell you by itself how good of a game this was. And I thought, for Kentucky's sake, Oscar Tshiebwe really had a solid outing. He had 22 and 18 on the stat sheet. That's incredible. But just from the back and forth ability that this game kind of had in game flow, you kind of had that feeling of this game was going to go into triple overtime. It felt like there was I think the largest margin of the game overall throughout the whole majority of the game was, I believe, 5. That was the largest lead either team had during this game, was 5 points up until the end there when Michigan State took it away there in crunch time. But I thought that you really saw a lot from Michigan State as far as being able to shoot it in those big scenarios. The clutch shooting was definitely on display. You saw Hauser have a really good evening, especially shooting the basketball. He was 8 for 16. I thought AJ Hogard played really well. He keeps the turnovers down. He's going to be a really dominant player for the Spartans, especially in that backcourt. And I mean, you mentioned already, Walker's a really good player for them. Kentucky has a tendency to shoot quickly and often, and I think they're going to start to think about that strategy just a little bit. Obviously, you're not going to change your whole scheme after this game because, I mean, you played well enough to be in this game for the majority of it, and they were definitely the preferred, like they were definitely higher up in the predictor as the game went on, and you looked at game probability stats, but Michigan State really proved themselves as a clutch team. They knocked down free throws when it mattered, and I think really just take down the turnovers a little bit for sure Izzo's team, and I think that they can really make a really good run up the rankings and prove themselves as a really good team because I think they can be up there with Michigan. I think they can be up there with a lot of these really good top 15 caliber teams right now, and then obviously as the season goes on, you beat more teams, you can climb up because they got I think they were really underrated going into this year just with losing a couple guys, but I mean, dominance on the boards, just take care of the basketball, hit the three ball. Michigan State's going to be in prime shape moving forward.
Absolutely. And in the same Champions Classic kind of tournament thing going on, another good game, Duke versus Kansas, top
Big
10
game.
matchup. This one had a lot of heads watching this one. Kansas came out on top 69-64. They moved to 3-0 on the season. Duke drops to 2-1. But, man, good game all around. The Blue Devils led in scoring by Kyle Filipowski. Hopefully I said that right. I'm not good with these names all of a sudden. But, yeah, center for them, 17 and 14 points and rebounds. And then Jerry Moch was right behind him with 16 and 4. But Kansas just came out of nowhere, being able to kind of really control the game, especially as the game went on later on. It was a good one, especially for Jalen Wilson, one of their forwards, 25 and 11 and 5. And then Grady Dick getting 14 points, and then McCullough following him with 12.
Yeah, I think Grady definitely had a great game. It's kind of weird to say that last name, so I just leave it by itself. But no, yeah, Grady had a good game, and he was definitely the one that came in clutch down the stretch, and you probably saw on a lot of your social media handles going through the morning after the game. But, I mean, both of these teams shot very poorly. Defensively, this is a fantastic game because you saw a lot of big-time buckets that needed to be made. It was almost kind of like a glorified rec ball game as far as just how the game went overall. It's just a lot of gritty, find the right positions, get the board, get the putback. You're not going to see all the style that you would normally see between two top caliber ball clubs like these two teams are, especially being top 7 teams. But the difference was Kansas moved the basketball a lot better than Duke did. Duke played a little bit more iso ball, and that's what they're normally made of. And that kind of really screwed them in the end because, I mean, statistically, Duke was better on the boards, 46-35. They were better at the free throw line, 81% to Kansas 57. Granted, Kansas didn't have as many opportunities. But, I mean, from there, they even had less fouls. It was just the fact of they just didn't move the ball enough. They took a lot of early looks, and especially in ISO situations, and they made 7 less buckets than the Jayhawks, and that's really what allowed them to get back in the game, despite being leading in a lot of these categories. And Kansas just really, I mean, for winning a game at only shooting 15% from the three-point line is almost unheard of in the college basketball that we see these days. So, I mean, give credit to the Jayhawks. I mean, obviously the Blue Devils aren't going to fall too far. They're still a dominant team. But, yeah, I mean, this Champions Classic was absolutely crazy to see, and 2 really good caliber games to start the year, which is exactly what you wanted to see.
Absolutely. That was big time to see, especially as a fan perspective. You want to see some good basketball played all year round, and the Champions Classic always brings that. So 2 good games coming from there. But another one, Gonzaga, some people say they should have been unanimous number 1. Others said no, but they got upset by Texas by a good margin, 93-74 loss coming to the Bulldogs from the Longhorns. Brandon, what do you think about this game?
Oh, man. This was a really big game for Texas. Huge game for Chris Beard. Big game for this ball club. And really, I think the biggest thing when you look back at this game is I would think we could probably agree that Gonzaga has probably the edge in talent when you look at these 2 rosters. Yeah. But, I mean, that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be winning.
Talent doesn't always win.
Yeah, you're not going to chalk up an automatic win just because you have more talent on the team. But the biggest thing was Texas was absolutely lights out from the three-point line and from range, too. That was a huge thing, and I think now you're starting to see with that transition, Chris Beard from Texas Tech, the teams that he had that were really good. Defensively were phenomenal as far as help defense, and especially ISO one-on-one defensive play was fantastic in this game, allowing Gonzaga 74 points. Normally, that's a low margin for the Zags. For Coach Few's squads, that is a low mark that they definitely, you can see They really just didn't have their best game overall offensively. In Texas, I mean, you saw Gonzaga throw. It almost looked like they threw a couple zones at them, and I mean, why would you? Or I should say, why wouldn't you? After they went, oh my gosh, I remember seeing the stat after the game was over. They were 3 of 22 against Houston Christian in the previous game.
Jeez.
Did you see what they were in this game?
What?
Absolutely ridiculous. They were 13 of 33. They were 39% from 3. But the biggest thing was they hit them all in the last half of the quarter, the last half of the second half. That in the crunch time, and they were able to find lanes, especially down in the fast break, forcing Gonzaga turnovers in clutch time, and were able to put them away with some nasty slams. So, I mean, their offense looks really good, and especially coming out of halftime with a 10-point lead, they were able to keep the pedal down despite Gonzaga changing it up, looking a little better offensively. I mean, shout out to Coach Beard's squad, man. They look really good.
Yeah, they did. They looked a team that can really kind of shake it up a little bit, especially being ranked 11. I knew that this game was going to be a lot closer than I think a lot of people said. Especially like not closer as in like Texas was going to make a lot more noise than I think a lot of people were giving them credit for. Seeing that Gonzaga, they've been known to kind of play down to their competition most of the time. And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Drew Timme this year. I know he scored 18 this game, but only 9 rebounds. When you got a guy who is as dominant as that and is kind of your main presence down low, you want to see a little bit more from him. But especially as the season goes on, I think he's going to develop a little bit, but he's going to have to really pick it up in terms of kind of getting his situation figured out. Gonzaga doesn't have the toughest conference by any means, so he'll definitely be able to. They're probably going to be conference champs again, most likely. But I think this loss here is a good wake-up call to kind of show, like, okay, like this is early on in the season. Luckily, it's come now. I mean, it's against a good team, but it's a team that they should have beat, especially on paper. But for the Longhorns, it's a big-time win for them, especially as the season's going.
Absolutely. So looking at the rankings here real quick before we move over to NFL, North Carolina, Gonzaga, Houston, Kentucky, Baylor, the top 5 going into this game. Obviously, that looked like a shakeup with Gonzaga falling out as well as Kentucky losing to Michigan State. You might see Kansas get into the top 4 as well as Baylor move up maybe into the 3 slot, Houston maybe into the 2. And then you might be able to see a team like UCLA and even Texas start to squeak up into that 8-7 range for sure here moving forward. But right now, Michigan's sitting at 20 and 21 in the AP and coaches polls respectively. Michigan State 26 and 25 in the AP coaches polls respectively. The only team I believe in the Big Ten that is also ranked two teams. Indiana is at 12 and 13, followed by Illinois at 19 and 20. But other than that, Joe, what are some teams that you're going to be watching here the rest of the season?
Some big ones, especially, I feel like they're going to make some noise. I think Creighton is at number 10 right now. I could see them moving up a little bit. I think I was kind of surprised, too, to see TCU as high as they were. Seeing that, what are they in? Are they in Pac-12?
Who?
What conference are they in? TCU.
They should be in the Big 12, I think.
Big 12?
Right? Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. But Texas A&M, too, I'm pretty surprised for them. I think they're going to make a little bit of noise. But honestly, you just got to look out for Houston. I feel like they're going to really solidify themselves as a top 5 team throughout the whole season. Gonzaga, too, seeing how they're able to do some different things if they get, some wins against some bigger opponents before conference play starts. Once conference play goes for them, I mean, it's just going to be an easy, undefeated schedule, most likely. But Duke and Kansas, I'm really excited to see what the defending champs are going to be able to do. More obviously when March comes around, because that's kind of when everybody starts to pay attention. That's kind of when it matters. But Duke is one as well. I mean, first year without Coach K as a head coach. You got a new coaching set. Basically a new system is what it's going to be, but you got some really key players and some good players in there as well that can really do some damage. So there's going to be a lot of things that you got to watch out for. A lot of teams are going to be interesting to see as the season plays out.
For sure. One team I'm going to be looking out for, sitting at 14 right now in the AP poll, Arizona Wildcats is a team that I'll be looking out for. Usually see a lot of good basketball success from that program. They have a really good, talented individuals, teams overall. I mean, Umar Ball is one of the best defensive players already, I think, in the country, you could argue, statistically. Azuolas Tubelis has been a really good offensive threat for them. And I think they really found a true point guard in Kuru Krisa. So I think this team really has a lot to look forward to. They're not going to be pre-ranked up high right now because they're playing a lot of cupcakes, not going to lie, so far to start the season. But they're going to be taking on Indiana as well as Tennessee going into the early months of December. So you'll get to see them play some other really good teams. And then obviously they'll get into Pac-12. They'll take on the Oregons and the UCLAs and the USCs that'll probably find their way into the ranking bubble later on this season. Another team that I'll be kind of on the lookout for, especially considering Big Ten plays, how Indiana plays. I mean, right now they're really high ranked. They haven't not played any big teams as of yet. But of course, Trace Jackson-Davis is preseason one of the best players in the country. And I think right now they're finding a really good fit around him. I think that's what really hurt them in years past was they just didn't find the right supporting cast. Now they got some really good young studs around him. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does in likely his final campaign before making the trip to the big stage. So I think that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Anyway, going into our NFL picks really quick. We'll make them quick here for week 11.
One-liner score.
One-liner score. Okay. Which one you want to start with? Thursday night?
Up to you.
Thursday night. Let's go. Tennessee against Green Bay. Give me the Packers at home at Lambeau to win this one. I think Aaron Rodgers and the offense have started to click a little bit. Give me the Pack 31-27.
I'm going to go contrarian. Titans are going to win this one. Derrick Henry's going to have a day. Lambeau's not going to be enough to give this depleted Packers team enough to go off of. Derrick Henry's going to pop off. Probably 3 touchdowns, I'd say. Going to keep it going. Titans 30-27.
Okay, there you go. Sunday, 1 o'clock, starter up, Fox game, Bears at Falcons. Much as I have to say, give me the Bears in this one. Give me Justin Fields the way he's played. That offense looks really good. I think the Bears can steal one on the road, and Arthur Smith finally realizes he has a problem with his offense. 24-20, give me the Bears.
Going to go the same thing with you with the Bears. Justin Fields is just looking electric right now, and I don't think the Falcons have what it takes to be able to slow him down at all. Fields is going to go off. It's going to be a 35-21.
Ooh, no defense in that game. I like it. Bills hosting the Browns in likely 6 feet of snow. I like Buffalo's chances, believe it or not, at Orchard Park. If this game gets moved, it'll be very interesting. But Josh Allen in that running game, I think, could be the difference in this game. Defensively, I think the Browns definitely are going to create some havoc up front with the rushing attack, but I think the Bills have enough to neutralize it rather than vice versa. Give me the Bills. And if this is at Orchard Park, give me like a 2017 game. If it's at Ford Field potentially or another place, it'd be like 35-31 probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. If it's in the snow game, expect kind of not as much throwing to be done. It's gonna be a low scoring game. I think if it's at the Bills, it's gonna be like a probably even lower, probably 17-14 game or something like that. But I'm also gonna go to the Bills because I just feel like
they're very good at football.
They're very good at football. Yeah,
that's true. Ravens hosting the Panthers. No time wasting. Give me the Baltimore Ravens. As much as I want the Panthers to pull off an upset in this game, I think Lamar Jackson's having a scary good campaign, and I think they're going to tear it up on the ground, and I think they're going to be very efficient defensively. I think that's where they're going to really shine in this one. Give me the Ravens 27-10 over the Carolina Panthers.
I would also love to, but I would love to go with the Panthers, but I just don't think they're going to, especially seeing their track record now that their new coach, now that they've fired their coach, but they still haven't really been able to pick up any wins. Baltimore's going to win this one, 27-14.
Okay, there you go. Lions at Giants. Kool-Aid filter, in effect. Give me the Lions in this one over the Giants, hand them their 3rd loss of the year. And you know why? Because their defense creates turnovers. That's what I think that this weekend might endure. Saw a little glimpse of that last week. They can keep it going. Get a couple fumbles against the Giants' rushing attack. I think they're going to be in good shape. But we got to get DeAndre Swift healthy, and we got to have the defense step up in this game. I think this one's going to be a close one, of course, because it's the Lions. 28-27, they sneak out in the Meadowlands over the Giants.
Look what I just wrote down my score choice before you said that.
No!
I said the exact same thing. I said 28-27.
My gosh. I can confirm that he did write 28-27 on his paper, and I can't look at it. My laptop is in front of his piece of paper for those that can't see.
I wrote it down, just so you know.
So, yes, I will give you credit for that one. We're on the same boat for this one.
I will say that. It's going to be a pretty darn close game.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Drink the blue Kool-Aid.
This is a fun one. Jets at Patriots. Both teams just over 500. Is this finally the year, Joe, that we can confidently say the Jets are going to beat Bill Belichick?
No.
No?
Pats are going to win this one. It'll probably be a lot closer than a lot of people think, but I think they're going to be doing pretty solid. Defense for the Pats is going to figure it out.
Okay.
Bill Belichick will figure it out.
Yeah. As much as we're going to make this podcast fun, give me the Jets in this one.
All right.
Jets. I think the Patriots still got to figure out offensively some of the things. It's going to be Ramondre Stevenson's show, but the Jets front's been very good. I think they step up and might give Ramondre a tough time there, and I think the Jets might do the impossible. I wouldn't expect them to go out and win 14-3, but give me the Jets in a high-scoring game. I think that's where they're going to shine the most in a potential 33-27 game at Gillette.
Nice.
Boy, what a game that would be if that
That'd
ended
be
up that way. Commanders at the Texans. Joe, you have honors.
All right. Commanders going to win this one. Hot off a big win against the Eagles. Taylor Heineke was iced out in the plane. He's trying to be Kirk Cousins, but they're going to come out. They're going to keep playing, and I think they're going to be doing pretty solid with what they got going on.
Speeder through. Give me the Manders. Give them 28-21. Texans just don't have offense right now.
No.
Rams at Saints in New Orleans in the Superdome. Boy, this is a gross game. New Orleans is favored to win, and I just have an absolute beef with the Rams right now. So give me the Saints. Give me their defense to stop a really injury-prone LA Rams team off their Super Bowl slugfest of a terrible start.
Yeah.
Give me the Saints by a final of 32-23 over the Rams and Sean McVay. At 3-7, yikes, that could be bad.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't think the Rams are going to win this game either. I hate to keep on playing the same one with you, Brandon, but if I'm trying to go for my picks, this is what I got to do. I'm going to go Saints as well. Rams just have not been looking good, just in any way, shape, or form. Ever since Whitworth left, or retired, I should say, they've just been kind of shamble-wise, and especially with Cooper Kupp on the IR, I don't know if it's going to work out. Saints, give me them. We'll do 25-17.
Okay, there you go. Let's see. We got the Eagles at the Colts. Give me the Eagles to get back on top in a potential trap game for the Eagles here. Jeff Saturday winning 2 in a row would be absolutely insane for the storylines, but I think the Eagles defense is going to come out with a vengeance. Give me the Eagles in this game. Final 32-27 over the Colts.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Eagles is going to be they're not going to lose. It's not going to be like a fall off the edge of the earth type thing for them. They're going to win this game.
For sure. Next up, Battle of the Busts. The 2-7 Raiders and the 3-6 Broncos at Mile High. Boy, this is going to be a fun one, Joe.
Dude, let's ride. Let's ride Broncos country. They're going to win this one. I just don't think Derek Carr, he just been not, I don't know what's going on with him, to be honest. Last year he looked like he could be, one of the better quarterbacks in the league. This year he just looks pretty abysmal. Broncos are going to win with Russell doing high steps all the way to the end zone. Or
high knees
all the way to the win.
Yeah, screw it. Give me the Raiders. This one's for you, Canary. I don't think the Raiders are going to win, but that's probably the reason why they're going to win in this game. I think their offense needs to get back on track quick, fast, and a hurry. Broncos have a lot of injuries. They just lost KJ Hamler. I think that the Raiders might be able to pull out just a barn burner of a game. Get ready for this score, Joe. 17-14.
Oh.
Raiders went out in an absolute barn burner. Defensive slugfest. But Steelers host the Bengals this week, and I'm going to take the second team in that sequence. Give me the Bengals and Joe Burr to beat the Steelers in an AFC North matchup. Give me the Bengals to light it up against the Steelers defense. And the score doesn't seem like a lot, but it is against Steelers defense. 27-17. Bengals win over the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm going to go Steelers. Why not?
Go for it.
Let's rock it out. They played pretty well against the Saints last week. Of course, the Saints aren't as good as they have been. And, Andy Dalton is their quarterback, so, it's a little bit of both. But I think the Steelers are going to come up with the upset and win one at home at, I'm always going to call it Heinz Stadium.
Heinz Field. It is Heinz Field to everybody.
Heinz Field. Doesn't matter if they change it or whoever buys it. It's Heinz Field.
Yes. The next game I'm picking strictly off of a time, and you'll understand what I see in a minute. But Cowboys at the Vikings. It's a 4:25 game, so you know what that means. Give me the Dallas Cowboys in this game over the Kirk Cousins primetime. I don't know if I would want to say the primetime putts. He doesn't play very well in some of these later games. It's probably going to be America's game of the week for a 4:25 start. Give me the Cowboys. Their offense looked really good last week, and that's really promising. I think their defense is due for a big game. I think they need a win on the road to really gain some ground on the Giants after they lose to the Lions. Cowboys win 38-35, another barn burner Minnesota's a part of.
38-35. Tough looks for them. But I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think they're going to keep it going after last week. Justin Jefferson's going to pop up. Thielen's going to go crazy. Hawkinson, I feel like, could have a good game. And Kirk Cousins is going to keep it up. Just don't step on his toes when he's trying to take it under center.
Yeah, that's true. Last 2 games, Chargers hosting the Chiefs. Sunday Night Football. Give me the Chargers. Okay. I'm crazy. Give me the Chargers. The Chiefs have played really well the last 2 weeks. The Chargers have too talented of a team to be right now at 5-4. They're supposedly going to get Mike Williams back and possibly Keenan Allen. I would not put anything on Keenan Allen playing this game, but at least Mike Williams I think will be enough to free up some room for Austin Eckler in that offense. The defense is due for one, and the Chiefs have really gotten away in some close games against the Chargers in the past. Last 3 matchups have been in 1 score. Chargers have won 1 of those games. I think they'll make it 2 in an absolute slugfest. 31-28 final. Chargers over the Chiefs. You heard it here first.
You're crazy.
I might be crazy.
That's a
but
bad
I need to make some of these picks.
That's a bad choice. That's a bad choice. Chiefs are going to win.
Okay.
Pat Mahomes playing like crazy. Got what they're going to be able to do. I mean, they just been cooking lately, so it's going to be 32-25. I think Chargers will stay within the score, but Chiefs are going to take this one.
All right. Final game, Cardinals hosting the Niners. We both had success with the gold last week, Joe. You going with San Fran again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Give me the Cardinals then. Your pick was
my
horrible.
gosh,
oh my
dude.
gosh. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. I'm just
Dude.
kidding. I don't know why. Kyler Murray will be back. The offense plays much better at home. Statistically speaking, maybe not, but I think that this might be just enough to neutralize the Niners. I think they might commit a couple turnovers. And Jimmy Garoppolo, get this, Joe. He's going to throw a touchdown pass, and they're going to get screwed because of that. They're going to lose the game because Jimmy Garoppolo threw a touchdown pass. So there you go. Cardinals win a barn burner. Let me go with a 42-41 game. I'm just crazy.
Jeez.
You can throw that one in the trash, but hey,
we'll see with that. I mean, hey, all that matters is if you get the choice right. You know,
if I get it right,
that's just a tiebreaker.
I'm literally going on ESPN because I'm that crazy. So sometimes you gotta be that crazy.
Yeah, if it works out, it works out. But I guess we'll see. Hey, we'll see what goes on.
Yeah, Joe's got the upper hand, so I got to be crazy to get
it's
some
4-2
back.
right now.
So yeah,
Picks.
I got to do some stuff here to get back in this one. But
yeah,
thanks for listening to our picks. Thanks for subscribing. We'll see you here next week for this lovely podcast continuation. Until next time,
take care, everybody.